Today on Smackey's Garage, we're going to be replacing our tow hooks on our 2018 F-150. We're going to take the stock ones on there that are chrome off, and we're going to replace them with a set of red ones from Ford Performance Parts. So today we're going to be replacing these chrome tow hooks on the front of my truck. Now there are two reasons why I'm changing these out on my truck. One is because I think the red definitely looks better than chrome on my truck down here. You know, everything is chrome around the edge of the truck. I want to get a little bit of color up in the front. The other reason is over time you do see some pitting starting to happen on this chrome, on these bumpers as the trucks get older. And when I think about wrapping a tow strap or something around this tow hook, I'm worried that it's going to cause damage over time. So having something that's a little bit more robust of a finish on it won't look as bad in the long run. So that's why I went with these parts from Ford Performance. Now here's what comes with the kit. You get two tow hooks. Looks like they're powder coated red. It is definitely a nice finish on them. They're definitely heavy duty. And then you get the parts to assemble them in place. So the way that I believe this is gonna get installed is you're gonna have these parts. These slip into the front of the truck, into the frame rails. I don't think I actually need them because, you know, the truck already has them, so there's no reason to replace them. And we're gonna show the easiest way to install these. Now for these, they come in two different colors. You have an option of red or blue, or you can stick with the stock chrome ones. You know, I went with red because I think the red accent looks good on a white truck. So now let's go ahead, let's look at how we remove the other ones before we put these on. Now this is one of the projects that I expected to go pretty smoothly, but unfortunately it did not. It ended up taking me about 2 hours to get all of this done, where I expected to be only 4 bolts to take everything apart, put everything back together again. So go ahead, look at the tips that I have in this video and make a decision to see if it's worth it for that amount of effort for you to get these in your truck. Now to replace these on the truck, you're gonna see that there's essentially a dust boot on there that needs to come off. So you can pull that up forward and then we'll push it up back. Essentially all we need to do is make sure that we can get access to the bolts that are behind there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna end up moving it or just pushing it out of the way. Now underneath here, I just need to get access to the 15mm bolts that are holding it in. Now over time, this is really hardened up and it's gonna make it difficult to get at. Now looking underneath, you can see there are 2 clips that if you push them in, it'll help you slide it back. So I need to either use my finger or a screwdriver and I push those in from the other side, so this way, in towards the center, and I should be able to just push it back. You know, the plastic's really hard, so I'm not able to push it with my fingers. I'm gonna have to use a screwdriver. Now I ended up spending about 30 minutes on one side to try and figure out how to get this plastic rubber piece out. I ended up using a screwdriver, a hammer, and finally just ended up spending a lot of time cutting it apart and trying to get it out of place. Stick around to when I do the passenger side and I clearly show you how I cut it. Now I think something to note is after doing this, you cannot reuse this boot. One out. Yeah, this piece right here is as hard in as you could get, pinched right between the pieces, pinched right between this bumper and the material up there. So there's a good chance that I'm gonna actually end up using a fen tool and just cutting it up here. I've been working at this for about a half an hour now and I have not gotten it to move. Oh, there it goes. Gotta shift it to the left. When you finally get enough access to the bolts to loosen them, completely remove the front, but only loosen the back. Do not remove it. It'll make your life so much easier. I can't believe that's still in there. I got it. There's no way you're getting this out in one piece. Now, one of the things you'll notice when a lot of the companies do the projects is they won't put this boot back in, and I think I found out the reason why. When we look at how well it's actually put in, the boot isn't rubber as they make it all look. It's actually plastic. It looks like co-injected with rubber. So you have the rubber on the outside here, and then you have the plastic here. And this plastic's what's making it really hard to take out. So the rubber itself is still pliable, but this plastic, you're not bending it to get out of place. So this essentially took me about a half an hour to get out. Now, one of the other things that I want to call out in this is while you're doing this, it's important not to remove those bolts, even though they tell you you can. If you do remove those bolts, the nuts that are in the frame don't actually look like they are secured to the frame, so they're floating around. So if you were to take one out and you take both out, then that piece would be hard to get back into place, which is something you really want to avoid. So now that I have this out, we can go ahead, we can put the new one in, slide it back into place, then we should be okay. But so you can see, you leave this in, this one bolt in, just open enough to get it just out of place. But up there you can see that moving around, maybe. But with that moving around, you don't want to take it out of place. You don't want to take this bolt all the way out, because if you were to do that, then you're pretty much not going to get this back together. I mean, you could get it back together. You just end up taking pretty much the entire bumper off to get it out and to fit. Now, putting these in, it's pretty easy. You know, I'm not going to use this. I'm going to reuse the one that's in the frame. Since we left that last bolt in there, all we need to do is slide this into place and this on top of it. That last bolt will slide in here, and then put in one bolt, tighten this down, and torque it to what it's supposed to be. Now you can really see the problem on this side, where this is rubber and this is actually plastic. So it's insert molded or something in a way that it makes it almost impossible to get out of place, because all this up here is hard plastic. So you can't really bend it, as we've shown in this piece here. So that's why I'm ending up essentially cutting all these apart just to get it out, so that I could get it in like that one. Okay, you can see I'm pretty much halfway through using the tin snips on this. I'm using this giant pair of tin snips to cut away some of the plastic, just so that I can get it out, because like the other side over there, this side does not want to come out. Here you can see that even with the tow hook out, this is still held in place, kind of stuck in between the bumper and the chassis or the frame. So I have to get this out, and then we can put the new one back in. And on this, you can see exactly where it was pinched between the frame and the front bumper. So that area there is where it was essentially being held in. So there's really no way to get this taken apart without taking the bumper off or destroying these. You can buy these new if you want. You can buy them from your Ford dealer. I purchased a set from Tasca Ford. You know, they're only about $17 each, so you can try to get them in, but it is not easy. So go ahead, slide this back in and up. And then you can actually stick your finger between here and the frame to get that nut held in the right place to screw it in. All right, so it came out really good. I'm happy with the way that it turned out. I'm happy with the way that it looks. You know, I'm kind of disappointed that I couldn't reuse the stock air dams or air bumpers or whatever you want to call them that were on the front. It would have been nice to be able to reuse those again on the truck, but the only way I was actually able to get them off is to completely cut them up. So thanks for tuning in this week on Smackey's Garage. Don't forget to like, subscribe. I'll see you next time.